So you've decided to go with Orzhov for pre-release because, you know, after it, you'll feel like a 1/1 spirit token. So Orzhov's new ability is Afterlife, which is when this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create X 1/1 white and black creature tokens with flying. X being the number after Afterlife. So if there's Afterlife 2, you get 2 spirit tokens. All right, now let's start off with some Afterlife cards. Seraph of the Scales. So 4 mana for 4/3 flyer. Love it already. Also has the ability to give itself Vigilance and Death Touch. Holy crap, that's great. I mean, it attacks, can stay behind on block, and you can kill anything you need with Death Touch. That's awesome. And if, you know, for some chance it happened to die, which it probably will, because someone's going to kill this right away, it has Afterlife 2. So you get 2 1/1 spirit tokens. They have flying. They're going to do some damage too. Great all-around card. Love it. Knight of the Last Breath. Okay. So I like his ability and the fact he has Afterlife 3, but he has 7 mana for a 4/4. Oh, those stats hurt. Pay 7. This guy's going to die very easily. Yeah, you'll get 3 1/1 tokens. That's nice, but you paid 7, and that's so late in the game. I don't know if that's going to be enough. It's a hard card. It's just, yeah, I don't know about it. Just very expensive. Sealed goes long, but that's probably a little too much for me. Imperious Oligarch. It's fine. It's nothing great. It's 2 mana for a 2/1 with Vigilance. You'll play that. It's not going to go for a long game, but maybe it can, you know, take out a 2 or 3 drop, and you get a token afterwards. Orzhov Enforcer. Now we're talking. A 2-drop with Death Touch is always great because early game, it'll take out something. Late game, it'll take out something much bigger. And then if it dies, you know, you get a token afterwards. So all upside. Orzhov Racketeers. This one, I am not a fan of. The 5 mana is way too much for a 3/2. Has Afterlife 2, which is nice. You get, you know, 2 tokens. And it's going to die a lot with that 2 toughness. But its ability of like getting in and making a discard card, that's not much of anything, because if it's coming on that late, maybe they don't have any cards. And most of the time, they're just going to block with like, you know, a 2/2 and kill it. Yeah, it's too much mana is my problem. I can see running it if I'm a heavy Orzhov, care about tokens deck. Debtor's Transport. Once again, costs too much. 6 mana for 5/3. I don't want to play that. And it only has Afterlife 2, which for 6 mana, I feel like it should have 3. But yeah, don't see ever playing that. Ministrant of Obligation. Now there you go. 3 mana for a 2/1 doesn't sound exciting, but the fact it has Afterlife 2 for that cheap, that's great. I mean, it's going to kill like a 2 or 3 drop. Going to trade. That's what you want to do because you want to die to get those 2 tokens early in the game. Just ping for a lot of damage. Syndicate Messenger. 4 mana for a 2/3 flyer is not great, but still playable, and has Afterlife 1, which is nice. So you get flyers no matter what. Tithe Taker. You're mainly playing this just to be, you know, an early 2-drop. Afterlife of 1's nice, but the whole ability of making them pay an extra 1's not going to happen too much. But, you know, sometimes it could have a nice upside of like they have a removal spell and you have this out, so they can't play it because they need the extra mana and they don't have it. And lastly, Knight of Sorrows. Once again, too much mana for a 3/3. That can block an extra thing, but I mean, 2 2/2s are going to take this out, and one of them's still going to live. And you only get 1 token after that, so not very exciting. Maybe if you need a 5-drop to fill a spot, this is nice, but nothing to write home about. All right, now let's talk about some good creatures for Orzhov. First off, Tessa Karlovs. 4 mana for a 2/4, that's not good. It better have some good abilities. And it does, but only if you're like heavy Afterlife, I feel. Because if you are, you get double the triggers of that. So that's very good. You know, you have Afterlife 2, you're getting 4 tokens. And then all your token creatures get Vigilance and Lifelink. Holy crap, that's good. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how much Afterlife and token makers you have. But I could see easily playing this in Orzhov because you're going to get a few tokens. And if you do, you can double your triggers. So that's nice. Basilica Bellhunt, sure. This is one of those, you know, double white, double black cards. 3/4, which that's very mana intensive for a 3/4. And when it comes to play, you just gain 3 life and make your opponent discard a card. That's okay. I'm not very excited about that because this comes down late game. Maybe they don't have any cards in their hand, so that's a blank there. You gain 3 life. You know, maybe helps you out a turn. That's nice, but it has no evasion. It can block pretty well, but it's nothing exciting. Not very high on this one. But I can easily see it playing in Orzhov because it is a well-rounded creature. It's just not as exciting as the other ones, but still gonna play it. Grasping Thrall, 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer. I mean, not exciting, but I'll play that. And then when it comes to play, there's a 4-point life swing. I love that. That's cool. Pitiless Pontiff, an interesting card. This sort of has a sacrifice sub-theme, we'll say, because there are ways to like steal creatures, and there's plenty of ways to sacrifice them. But stealing them, not so much in Orzhov, it's more in red. But still, this has tokens and afterlife, so there are things you can sacrifice easily. And this one, gives this creature indestructible and death touch, so it's a good blocker. Just take out anything they attack with, like if they attack with a 6/6. You just sacrifice a creature, block it with this. This thing lives, and you just kill the creature because that's death touch. That's awesome. Speaking of sacrificing, Blood Mist Infiltrator. I think this belongs in Orzhov deck more than the Rakdos because you have so many things you want to or can sacrifice with tokens and afterlife. And, getting in every turn for 3, that can win you the game sometimes. It's just that one toughness sucks. And if you don't have anything to sacrifice, this guy is not very good. You really have to have a build around for him. So maybe he's better for draft, building around, but still, if you need a sacrifice outlet, here's a nice one. Spawn of Mayhem. This card's just bonkers, big Frample guy, only gets bigger, pings your opponent for life, and, if you can get Spectral off, he's even cheaper. So amazing card all around. Pestilent Spirit. I like this just for the Menace and Death Touch. Has that little weird clause of death touch to all your sorceries and instants. Doesn't really matter so much in black-white because you're not dealing too much damage. But still, Menace and Death Touch, I like that. Vindictive Vampire, right here at home in Orzhov with all the tokens and things just dying and you can sacrifice things. I mean, with the tokens, you're just gaining a lot of life, pinging them for a lot. I love that. He's a little expensive at 4 mana, but still, in this deck, right at home. Blade Juggler, we want it for the Spectacle, and, Spectacle can happen because of tokens. You get in there with just one little flyer. Get this down for 3. Pretty good card. At 5, maybe not so much, but I could easily see, playing one of these. And if I have to pay 5 for it, then that's okay. I could at least draw a card. Just not as amazing as at 3. Plague White, I love this guy. Just comes down early, wrecks combat. That -1/-1 is so good. I love it. Spire Mangler, hey, this is what Orzhov needs. It needs a way to make those tokens bigger. It gives you a one-off of doing that. But also, since it has flash, comes into play, give itself +2/+0, and it's, blocking for 4 damage. So it's almost like a kill spell for a little bigger things. I like that. Angel of Grace, this card's freaking crazy. Hits so hard at 5/4, has flash, so you play at the end of their turn, or you can just, flash it in as a blocker. You can't die with it on the battlefield. And then, if, say, it dies and you're running behind your 1, hey, guess what? You can gain 10 life. It's so crazy. It's so good. It just brings you back so many times. Lumbering Battlement, it's an okay card at 5 mana for 4/5 vigilance. I mean, it's going to get chump block a lot, but if you have some kind of blink shenanigans or you have a ton of tokens and you just want to make this guy huge for some reason, you can do that. They won't come back. But this guy can get really big. He just really needs an evasion. But if you're attacking, you're also blocking with it later on. So it's be taking out some small chump blockers over and over, and just whittling them down eventually. Hero of Precinct 1. Once again, this is where this belongs, making tons of tokens. Orzhov cares about tokens. And it doesn't make spirits, but it does make human creatures, and that's fine. For a 2 mana 2/2, I'll do that. And you're going to be playing plenty of multicolored spells. Civic Stalwart. Hey, you want to make those tokens bigger? Here you go. It's 4 mana for a 3/3. That's a hill giant. That's fine. And when it comes to play, all your creatures get +1/+1. So, all those 1/1s in the air, now they're 2/2s, and they're attacking for a lot of damage. Spirit of Spires. It's 4 mana 2/4 flyer. I'm going to play that. And then it makes all your tokens have bigger butts, so they can block better. If you're playing against Orzhov, your tokens can now block theirs and still live. Just, really nice card to have on defense. Forbidding Spirit. It's a fine 3 mana 3/3. I'm going to play that because that's just, an all-around fine card to play. And this one takes off a turn of attacking from your opponent because they're probably not going to attack if they have to pay a ton of mana just to attack with a bunch of small things or anything like that. Maybe if they have one big thing, but then, still. And lastly, Resolute Watchdog. I like this because it comes down early, blocks fine, and then late in the game, once it's gotten outclassed, you can sack it to protect one of your bigger things or something from a removal spell or from combat. Just an all-around good card early and late game. All right, now let's talk about removal, which Orzhov has plenty of. First, Mortify. 3 mana for just hard removal and can take out enchantments. Awesome. Don't know if you're going to be taking out that many enchantments, but still, Great card. Doesn't cost that much. Final Payment, another just hard removal. Does cost you 5 life for a creature, but that's fine in Orzhov because, you know, just take out a 1/1 token or something. Or if you gain some life somehow, maybe just pay the 5, who cares? Consecrate, Consume, sort of removal, we'll say. The Consecrate part, I mean, it's mainly just draw a card, you know, cycle this away, get something you want. Or Consume, which usually I don't like the opponent has to sacrifice a creature. This one makes get rid of their biggest creature, and then you gain life. So that's awesome. If you're behind, they have a big creature's hitting you, say it's a 5/5, you play this, they have to sack it, you gain 5 life. That's great. Clear the stage. I don't know if that ferocious trigger is going to happen too often in Orzhov, but if it does, that's great. But anyway, 5 mana for -3/-3, you're going to play that anyway. It's not the most exciting, won't kill everything, but it'll do the job. And instant speed. Consigned to the Pit. It's expensive, but it is hard removal, and you get to deal a little damage. It's one of those commons where you're like, yeah, I guess I'll play it because I have to. Grotesque Demise. This is awesome because, you know, say they have Afterlife, you use this on something with Afterlife, they don't get the trigger. And, you know, it just exiles them. Takes out tons of things in this format at 3 power or less, and it's instant speed. Blade Brand, okay, maybe not so much removal, but it's probably what's going to be used for most of the time. Just, you know, combat trick of just, you're attacking, they block, you kill it with this because of Death Touch, or you're blocking, you kill their card. And then you get to draw a card. It's only 2 mana. And lastly, Summary Judgment. 3 damage from white. That's nice. A little conditional with tapped creatures, so they have a lot of vigilance. That sucks. And has the ability to just do 5 damage if you play it on your main phase. So take out those bigger things later in the game. Scales up nicely. Next, let's talk about the spells of Orzhov. Ethereal Absolution. A little expensive at 6 mana, but it does a lot. Like, okay, first off, all your creatures +1/+1. So those tokens, they're all 2/2s in the air now. All their creatures get -1/-1. So if they have tokens, those are wiped away. That's great. And then you just have a way, if you can like stall the game or whatever, just keep making tokens. They're 2/2s now. Oh man, this card's so good. It's worth it. Revival Revenge. I'm mainly playing this for the revival part of just getting a creature back. Yeah, it's a small creature, but if it has an ETB or something, that's even better. The revenge part is cute. And it helps you if you're behind, but I don't see it like winning you that too many games. It's just like, oh, okay, I guess I can do this. Might as well do it. Kaya's Wrath, finally, a 4 mana Wrath spell. It's hard to cast, but it is totally worth it because sometimes you just need that. And if you're behind, you're wiping the board and hopefully gaining, you know, more than enough of life. But yeah, Wrath's always great. Always play them because you never know when you need them. Arrestor's Zeal, cheap combat trick. And, you know, late in the game, if the ground is just all gummed up, send something over flying and hopefully win the game or something. Just get some damage through. Mainly, usually want to use it to win the game. Rally to Battle. I think this works best in Orzhov because of the tokens. So if you have a bunch of tokens you're just sending into ping, you can use this, untap them all, and now they're 2/4s that can block pretty well. Yeah, like that. A little expensive at 4 mana, but, you know, it is instant speed, so we expect. Sentinel's Mark. Pretty much the only aura here that gives a nice boost, even not that much of a boost, but it has flash, so it comes down as a combat trick if you need to. And then if you play it on yours, get a little lifelink. Maybe, you know, if you're behind, put it on a bigger creature to get a ton of life. It's fine. It's cheap, so that's why I like it the most. And it has, you know, it's versatile. Unbreakable Formation. Here you go. Helps with combat. If they have a removal spell or something, if they have a Wrath, you know, ouch. Then if you want to just make your guys bigger and you want to just try and get their attack to kill their creatures or just, you know, kill them outright, has a little addendum clause, which makes them really good, especially tokens. All right, let's talk about some sideboard cards. As always, Archway Angel here. It cares about gates, but I don't know if you really need it to because, I mean, 6 mana for a 3/4, you might play that just in sealed because, yeah, it's expensive, but 3/4 flying, not bad. And if you have like even just 1 gate out, you gain 2 life. That's fine. If you have multiple gates, this card's just so much better and better. Angelic Exaltation, you know, basically Exalt, but on a enchantment that costs 4, which I don't like. It's just, that's too much. But if you have a ton of tokens, you're going wide, I could see this easily being a card you side in. You're like, yeah, this totally works. I just don't like that you're taking off a turn maybe and doing nothing because it doesn't do anything on defense. If you're behind, you're screwed. So I'd say sideboard this because I feel like it might get cut most often if you mainboard it. Bring to Trial, a card that could maybe be mainboarded. It's just that it's sorcery speed and it's 3 mana. And Who knows if they have anything of 4 power greater? They probably will, but I don't know. I'd rather just sideboard this, wait to see what they have, and then put it in if they have anything that really hurt. Because if, they're Rakdos and it's all 2 powers hitting you, this ain't going to do anything. Expose to Daylight. It's a sideboard card. I don't even know if I'd sideboard it in because it costs so much, and I don't know if there's any enchantments or artifacts that are really going to hurt me too bad. And the Scry one is okay, but I don't know if it's worth the extra mana there. Sky Tether, I could see mainboarding this in Orzhov, just because you're going to have a lot of 1/1 flying tokens, and they might have flyers, but they're bigger. So this is a way to get those out of the way so you can just keep pinging them for 1. So yeah, I can see that. It's just, if they have something and they don't have any flyers, it's just dead in your hand. So maybe sideboard it in. Let's save it for sideboard. But I can also see just, mainboarding 1 because it's so cheap. Who cares? Cry of Carnarium. All right, so this one, it might just be a not playable because, yeah, it's a small board wipe, but you don't really want to wipe your board because you have tokens, which will all die. If you have Afterlife, they don't trigger because it exiles them. But sometimes against an aggressive deck, you just need a cheap board wipe. Maybe you do that against Rakdos. You save your creatures, or you just get them out there to die, and then you go long because Orzhov can grind it out. So yeah, I don't see sideboarding this often, but maybe if you're against a super aggro deck, sideboard it in then. Now let's talk about some bad cards in Orzhov. Kea, Orzhov Usurper. 3 mana for a 3/3 Planeswalker. I love it so far. Let's see. It exiles cards from graveyard, which that doesn't really matter, and you gain life if it was a creature. Okay, I guess. Exile target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less, so -1 to kill a token probably. And then it's -5, only cares about exile cards your opponent has, just to deal damage. Like, what are you doing here? This seems much like a constructed card of some sort, maybe like a Legacy or Vintage, because here it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't do enough. Maybe you're gaining some life. That's about it. What are you building towards with this Planeswalker? Not much. So I say don't play it. I know you don't want to. It's a Planeswalker. I still say pass. Smothering Tithe. No, it costs too much. You're just getting treasures if they don't pay. It's not as good as like drawing a card or something. It's too slow. It doesn't do enough. Awaken the Erstwhile. This card's dumb. It's everyone's discarding cards and then everyone's getting something out of it. So basically the ideal here is your opponent has no cards in hand. You have 7 in your hand. You play this, discard all those, and then get 7 2/2 zombies. Okay, I guess. Like, I'd rather just play the cards. This is not worth it. I don't know what you're trying to set up here. It's dumb. Ill-Gotten Inheritance. There's a lot of enchantments in this set that don't do much. This one is definitely one of them. It's like pinging for damage or gaining life, and then you can pay a lot of mana and sack it just to do 4 damage. Like, it's 4 mana. If this was cheaper, sure, why not? It's not hurting anyone. It's just doing some damage. This is 4 mana coming down later in the game, doing nothing. Font of Agonies. This card cares about paying life, and there is not much to pay in this set. Like, I don't know why this is a rare. I guess this is mainly for constructed, but yeah, this doesn't do anything unlimited. And then you have to like get 4 counters on it just for it to do anything. All right, so that does it for Orzhov. Let's see, the pros for Orzhov. Afterlife is a very cool limited mechanic. Maybe a little lazy, but I love the fact that it can trade with creatures and then you just get more creatures. That's great. And they have flying. Super awesome. There's a ton of removal in black-white. This thing is just gonna... I feel like this will just kill creatures and you'll get it in, or they'll trade with creatures to kill theirs and then you'll get tokens to attack. Like, combat's gonna be really hard with this because you're always gonna be at advantage, I feel like. Flyers, not 3 flyers, because these flyers, they're not as big. A lot of 1/1s going around, but still, those will get in for damage. I like that. Flyers always win you in sealed. I think that's an easy way for this deck to just grind it out, just keep pinging with those tokens. Now let's talk about the cons. Not really any big bombs. Yeah, they're like the Angels, they're pretty cool. And you got a Wrath, that's nice, but nothing here where I'm like, oh my god, this card's unbeatable. Everything's just like, oh, okay, that's a really good card. So I don't see there's anything to really be like, I have to play Orzhov because of this card. Which is fine. It's just nice to have exciting cards. Afterlife, even though it is a cool mechanic, the cards attached to it kind of suck. Like, there's a few that are awesome, but a lot of them are just not very playable. So that's gonna make it very hard for you to, really max out your Afterlife. And lastly, I feel like Orzhov really needs a third color. It just doesn't really feel like pure black-white has everything there to really make it to the end. I feel like there's a bunch of holes here and there, it feels like. So it really needed the third color just to round itself out. And luckily, this is sealed, so you'll probably be playing 3 colors. And I advise you to go with Azorius. So let's talk about some of those cards that'd be awesome in this deck. Sphinx's Insight, right there. You got some card draw. That's awesome. That's what this deck really needs. Has the addendum clause of gaining some life, so that's also nice. Deputy of Detention, more removal. It's always great. This one really just wrecks it if you're playing a mirror match or something, because you name a token, all their tokens go away. Lawmage's Binding, more removal, the better. This one's basically just arrest with flash, and that's great. I love that. Azorius Skyguard, another flyer. Just takes out other flyers with its first strike, which is nice, and wrecks combat with its -1/-0 for all your opponent's creatures. Windstorm Drake, right here, another flyer, and it makes all your tokens bigger for attacking, so they're all 2/1s now. That's amazing. I love that. Cynic Guildmage, hey, gaining life to make these games go longer. That's awesome. And then drawing cards, discarding a card. Love that. That just helps you get the answers you need. Depose Deploy. The depose part, it's fine. If you want to attack to get through, you just want Cyclist to draw a card, go ahead. But the deploy part, you get more tokens with flying, you gain some life. If you already have a ton of tokens out already, you're gaining a ton of life. So love that part. And Instant Speed can be used as a removal spell almost. Dovin Grand Arbiter, right there, making more tokens, a way to gain more life. If you have Orzhov tokens already and they're attacking the air, you can +1 this and just put more loyalty on him to get to that ultimate where you're just drawing a ton of cards. And last, Warrant Warden, a way to just, bounce something, get it out of the way, or make a big flyer, which is what this deck really needs. Because that's a lot of just small flyers, but it really needs a big one. Makes a 4/4 with Vigilance and flying. So good. All right, that does it for Orzhov. Now stay tuned for the last and final guild, Gruul.